The original concept for this pine board baffle is we're going to see how far a 22 is lethal, the LR, but in the meantime we're going to fire a couple of rounds out of this Beretta Minx, which is the 22 short. Now, this is a 1/2-inch pine board. The Army established many years ago that it requires 59 foot-pounds to pierce this wood. If a projectile will go through 1/2-inch pine, it's potentially lethal. So what we're going to do, Eric's going to fire his Beretta Minx at close range right in here, and then we're going to keep backing up with the 22LR out of a 10-22 and to the distance that it will not penetrate this board. Now, to put this in perspective, a 25 ACP has 61 foot-pounds at the muzzle, so it's barely adequate at the muzzle. This is a 22 Minx that shoots short rounds, and we're going to fire it right here, and we're going to see what it does.
Let's do it. Yeah, everybody talks a lot of crap about a 22, but there we see the group I posted with the Minx, that a 22 short at that distance will definitely cause a lethal wound. I may circle this group and then back off to a little bit further distance and see what it'll do. All right, that's enough. Now here we see that while the 22 short from the Minx wasn't incredibly accurate at 15 yards, the rounds did penetrate the pine baffle at 30 feet. And of course you see a nice tight cluster at 9 feet. From the standpoint of what that gun is designed to do, it is an ideal defensive pistol at close range. You shoot somebody in a vital area, they're going to have a very bad day. We're going to move on now to the 22LR. Alright, we've now moved out to 100 yards. Chad has his Ruger 1022. We're going to be firing 22LR. What kind of ammo is that?
It's a SK, high velocity.
High velocity SK, and that's a lead bullet, not jacketed. Pine baffle at 100 yards.
That was about 2 inches low from the first two. That one's about 5 inches to the left. Now that can hit right where that one did.
All right, so we can show pretty much as expected that a 22LR will pierce a 1/2-inch pine board at 100 yards. I know this is a gimme, but for the sake of science, we definitely want to work our way up.
Set a baseline.
Yep, that's our baseline. All right, we've now moved back to 200 yards. Same load, same rifle, same shooter, and we're going to try 22LR on the 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch pine board, 200 yards. All right, people, there's 3 shots. They hit to the right there on the board. They went cleanly through, and that's at 200 yards. A little more testing can tell what is really capable of. I would like to see some CCI stingers put at really long range, you know, because that's a really hot 22 round. We're going to take this out to a little bit longer distance and see if at 3 and maybe even 400 yards if we can land a few hits. All right, so now we've gone to another extreme with the 22. We're at 450 yards, same rifle, same load, and we're going to see what it will do and if it'll actually penetrate that 1/2-inch pine board, if we can hit it.
That hit about a foot low, Shad.
Yeah, that's it.
Sounds like you're hitting it.
Yeah.
You can't see it, there's too much mirage.
All right, we can see that at 440 yards, 22LR penetrated a 1/2-inch pine board, which requires 59 foot-pounds of force. We got 2 good hits there at 440, and then 1 hit low right down there. The holes punched clean through. We did recover one of the projectiles, and we can see the weight retention is right on par. All right, Barry, so what can be said about a 22LR or 22 short?
Well, this hole at 440 yards is identical to the one at 30 feet. They're both clean holes. So judging by the old standard of 1/2-inch pine board tests, a 22 will kill you farther than you can shoot it accurately.
Yeah,
This
and that's the thing, you know.
440 yards, they're clean holes.
Right, and we see that the Beretta Minx and a 22 short, although 22 short is by some standards, a woefully underpowered cartridge, at close distance it is capable of saving your life with proper shot placement. The one thing that we can come to gather here from this test is a couple of things. One thing is that you don't want to get shot with a 22 at any distance. Getting shot is getting shot. And people can talk all the crap they want about a 22, but a 22 will kill the crap out of you. Okay? Also, another thing, like Barry said, this distance is further than most shooters are capable of accurately hitting a point target with a 22 anyway. So what that tells us is that at any distance you can hit someone with the 22 accurately up to this distance. It will potentially cause a lethal wound.
That's correct.
Also, the one thing I want to make clear with this is that when it comes to like getting shot, you know, shooting someone, if you're in a situation where it's either a survival situation, a prepping situation, let's just say the shit hits the fan type situation where you're trying to defend yourself, if you're in some sort of an engagement with someone, you're in some sort of firefight, whatever, and you get shot with a 22, it's not going to end well for you. I mean, you got to think, you're still going to need some form of medical treatment no matter what. Now granted, while a 22 may not be my first choice for stopping someone in their tracks with one shot, you cannot deny the effectiveness of the cartridge for hurting people.
Right.
I mean, it will hurt your ass.
This at 440 yards would definitely puncture the soft part of someone's abdomen. And you get shot down here, you're in big trouble.
Yes.
If you have no medical treatment, you're going to die. You may not die today, but you're going to die sometime during the next week.
And depending on the type of person you're dealing with, I mean, it can take you out of the fight.
Right. Right.
And really, when you look at what 5.56 was originally developed towards, with NATO and everything like that, I mean, the whole idea of warfare changed from the point where they don't want to kill you, they want to wound you.
Right.
They want 4 people to tote you off. So when you're talking about 4 people toting you off, well, that's it.
This is like back, if you get in an apocalyptic situation with no medical care, you might as well be in the old west out on the prairie somewhere. If you get a hole in you that you weren't born with, you're probably going to die. That's why the small caliber guns in the old west, people feared any kind of gunshot. You just die of infection or whatever.
I mean, people died of knife cuts back then, puncture wounds.
Yeah.
I mean, even just an everyday accident type puncture wound will kill you.
But a 22 is definitely not a toy.
Definitely not.
It is in fact, it's an invaluable survival tool, and everybody should have a 22 rifle.
You must have a 22 rifle.